Welcome back, guys, and today we have a banger of a story time. I'm talking a really good one today, folks. This is about the time that I got kicked out. I got kicked out on Christmas, nonetheless. It was Christmas of last year, 2024, and it was a normal Christmas. We opened presents, I got some stuff, I gave some stuff. It was a normal Christmas, everything happened. And then we get to about Christmas dinner, and we're eating, and we're all talking, and I live with my mom and my stepdad and my little brother, and my grandma happens to come over. My grandma, my stepdad's mom, but she's my grandma. So she comes over, right? And me and my stepdad get in a blowout fight. I don't even remember what over. I don't remember, that was so long ago. I don't remember what the fight was about, but we get in a fight, right? And it ends up getting really bad. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best with my anger. And it got kind of physical, and instead of punching him, like, it was shoving and stuff. So instead of punching him, I hauled off and I hit a wall and my fist went through it. And this is kind of when it was the point of no return. I saw it in his eyes, and I basically, that, because it's his house. My mom lives there. She doesn't pay the bills. She doesn't, it's his house, his rules. He wants me out, right? So on Christmas, my mom drives up, drops me off at my grandparents' house, and throughout all this, I'm already going to military school, right? I've been sent to military school. Some of you have probably seen my shorts about military school, but I was already getting sent to military school before this even happened. Like, that was in place. I was in therapy and stuff, and they all thought that my best interest was military school, and my mom agreed, and I was already headed there. So before I was to leave right after Christmas. I was to leave in January, right? So it wasn't that big a deal. I went and I stayed, 10 days at my grandparents, and then January comes, and I think it's January 10th, or like around that time is when I had to go to the military school. So I kind of just spend the rest of December at my grandparents, and I don't really know if I'm ever going to be allowed back at my house where all my stuff is. I just packed a bag and I pretty much just came up here. I didn't know how long I was staying. I had my military stuff, but I didn't really know what was going on, how long I was going to stay here. So I kind of chill out, and then I end up going to military school, and I end up getting kicked out and sent back from military school. And I didn't know while I was in military school, but there was a deal that my dad and my stepmom had made, or my stepdad and my mom had made, my bad, that if I would have finished the program, I would have been allowed back home. And I didn't know that. I didn't want to be in the program because at this point I'm like, you kicked me out. Why would I do this program for you, you know? Like, I don't want to be here. I'm done. I don't want to do this program. I didn't really want to do it in the first place. There was multiple times leading up to this while we were doing the paperwork and while we went and saw it where I was like, I just don't want to do this. And then my family would be like, you got to do this. This is good for you. And then my therapist would be like, you got to do this. This is good for you. And everyone was telling me this was so good for me to do this. And before this, I had dropped out of school. So that's also why I was going to this military program, was because, I needed my GED, and this place actually helped you get your GED. They would either send you back to high school, or you would go down a different option and you would get your GED. That's why I was going. And honestly, in hindsight, I kind of do regret fucking it up, because now it's very, very difficult for me to get my GED just because I'm not the brightest, I'm not the smartest, and I don't really have somebody constantly pushing me. I usually need that, Like, I need somebody constantly telling me to work and to study, or I'm not going to do it by myself. And I'm at that point where I really do want to get my GED, and I'm really trying to, and I am doing a little bit of research, and I'm doing all this stuff, but it would have been easier if I would have stuck with that, and I really wish that I would have. In hindsight's 2020. But I do get sent to this program, and I get kicked out, and I'm like, where the fuck am I going? Because I don't know if I'm going back to my grandparents. I don't know if I'm going home. Last I knew, I wasn't allowed there ever, right? And my mom basically tells me I fucked up. I needed to finish this, and I needed to get sent back home because I'm not allowed back there because I didn't finish this program. So I don't know where I'm headed. And my grandparents have to come pick me up. And the way I got kicked out was I got in a fight. And I got in a fight with another kid there. And I basically was looking for a fight. Like, I could say, like, the reason I got in the fight, and it does make me look good, but it also, I didn't, like, I was standing up for somebody, right? But, like, I was really only standing up for them with the intent to get kicked out and get in a fight. So, yeah, I was doing a decent thing, but like I was also doing it for myself. Like I was standing up for this kid who was getting picked on a little bit in our bunk, but I was doing it so I could fight the kid, the bully, so I could fight him and get kicked out. And I did get kicked out, and they actually did tell me they were going to call the cops, and they never did. I ended up lucking out, but they told me they would call the cops so they'd keep me still so I wouldn't really try to run away or anything, which I wasn't going to do anyway. I wasn't like in that mindset. I knew I was going to get out, or I was pretty damn sure after that I was getting out. So they come over after probably like an hour or two of me just sitting there waiting for the cops, which they weren't going to come. Kind of called that bluff. But then they're like, okay, your grandparents are coming. I'm like, my grandparents are coming. And I did not want this to happen for a couple of reasons, because it was not that they were going to show up, but it was also storming. It was like almost hurricane fucking weather, and we're in Florida, so that's pretty fucking bad, you know? And it was pretty bad. I think it was a tropical storm, not hurricane, but they had to drive through that to come pick me up. And I was like, why? Why'd you call them? Like, you could have had me stay here one more night and then they could have came in the morning. But like, it didn't have to be how they handled it, but it might have had to be like that. I'm not sure if they could have let me stay a night, but still. I end up getting back from that place and I move in with my grandparents. And I didn't know if it was permanent at first, and I ended up moving in here, and I'm here for a while, and I'm like, well, I need to get a job. And I get a job at a grocery store, and, things are going good. Things are actually decent for once, I'm making decent money, but I'm not saving it. So and at this point, it's Christmas time again, and I'm actually supposed to go visit. And we haven't really talked about me moving in. I have a job. Like I said, I'm making good money, and I'm not really saving a lot of it. Right now, it all basically goes back into this, getting microphones and getting shit like that. And I need to get a laptop or a gaming PC. But a lot of my money goes into that, and I'm a dropout, like I said, so I don't have a lot. But I'm actually going there for Christmas, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be a good time. I'm actually going to stay the week, which is, I have stayed a couple of days there since. I did go down there to visit some of my friends, because I did have some friends down there, and it is about a 3 hour ride from my mom's to my grandma's. So it's not like I just moved and I'm in the same city. No, I'm 3 hours away, and I don't really know a lot of people when I first started at the store that I work at and when I first moved here. So I didn't know anyone, right? So there were a couple, like I went down for a couple of days once, but I've never really stayed there too long. And I'm actually going to go stay there for Christmas. It's going to be a good time, hopefully. And, I was dumb. I did some dumb things, but I'm trying to turn a new leaf, and I'm trying to be more responsible and take responsibility. And you know what? Honestly, being kicked out might be a good thing. I never really thought of it like that. I never did. But now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have a job right now. I probably would be a dropout, and I probably would just be sitting at home smoking weed, which I do now, but I also got a job and I'm functional. So I sit at home, I smoke weed, but I go out, and the alternative probably would have been me just sitting at home. I probably wouldn't have a job. I'd probably still be dropped out. And I probably wouldn't have any idea on how to get my GED or how to work towards it. My job actually reimburses me for that. So I'm very lucky to have that kind of safety net for when I do go for that. And honestly, you know what? In hindsight, it might have been a good thing. So that's about it, guys. I'm kind of rambling now. I got done with the first part a lot quicker than I thought. So I'm just going to call it wraps here. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, or don't. Honestly, making it through it is just enough for me to be happy. So have a good one. Talk to you later.